This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. This podcast is safe for first-time readers because it's made by a first-time reader. I'm your host, Dani, and I'm the one who's taken on the task of reading through this 15-book mega-series. I'm joined by my co-host, Brett, who's a longtime fan, and he's acting as my tour guide on this journey. Before we get into our episode today, we want to welcome Denny Cade, Jan Bowman, and Owen Evans to the Wheel Weaves Patreon team. They join the ranks of our other awesome patrons. We're really excited to have your support, and we want to thank you for your generous contributions. Every little bit helps to make the Wheel Weaves even better. This episode, we're going to be continuing our discussion of Chapter 21 and then discussing Chapter 22.
Yeah, so do you want to jump right into it?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the same timing for us. So
it is.
We might as well just keep in this same conversation with my new glass of wine. So
quick recap from what just happened?
Yeah. Do you want to do it?
Yeah. So we had Nynaeve sneak up on Lan and Moraine.
Yep.
Listen in on a little bit of a conversation about what was happening and where all the boys are, from what you can tell. Mm-hmm. Got some confirmation about tracking systems.
Still don't know where Egwene is.
Still don't know where Egwene is. We got confirmation about Nynaeve being a channeler, which is really exciting, and that she can
we got some googly eyes.
We got some googly eyes
and
new looking.
Yes.
At Nynaeve from Lan, so that's always interesting.
Right.
A little bit of healthy competition between the two, and we also, and possibly most importantly, got some confirmation about who out of the group of boys and Egwene can in fact channel, because we got some interesting knowledge about reactions to touching the true power.
Right. And
touching the true source.
Right. And so we definitely have a reaction from Rand.
Yes.
And we have a probably definitely situation with Matt.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, and probably definitely.
Yeah, and we have some things to look out for in the future because we think...
With Egwene.
And with Rand.
Oh, yes, again.
Smashing
because
that trollop with the boom. Yeah.
Okay, so we're in the middle of a conversation between Nynaeve and Moraine. And Moraine explains about how if a woman who can channel isn't found and helped, she will die. So this is pretty intense news.
Yeah. And it's not like go crazy and die. It's just
yeah, because they don't have like that oily taint.
Yeah, they don't have the
which
taint.
Is the difference. And so now with almost definite confirmation that Rand can channel and Matt potentially can channel, I'm concerned about their fate.
Oh, okay.
Because we know the fate of men who
you
can
go insane
channel.
And you die.
You go insane and you die, and there aren't any other options.
Yes.
So, I mean, there are 15 books.
That's true.
So...
But how many years do those 15
books
cover?
Does it take?
Yeah.
Are they going to go crazy? Like, what's going to happen? Is there going to be a way to stop from going crazy?
Okay.
If you're aware that this happens?
Yeah, who knows?
If you have, like, an Aes Sedai helping you? Like, if Egwene's side effects can be lessened with the help of an Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
Maybe also the side effects could be lessened for a man.
Or like
with
delayed.
The help of an Aes Sedai.
Yeah, okay.
So that's sort of where I'm going with this and what I'm just thinking about as we go on, because it's clear that these boys are going to have something to do with the one power and the true source, and how are they going to stop from going crazy and dying?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Essentially,
we
that's
need to make it more through this book.
Yeah, I know.
We need to get going here.
I know, right? Like, that's what I keep saying to you.
We're almost officially at the halfway point.
I know. I actually calculated the...
Oh, did you? Okay. I was just thinking about that because I was looking, and it's kind of like halfway.
I know. We're at... What page? We're at, like...
323 right now.
And I think it's, like, 360 something.
Okay, soon.
Is the actual halfway point. So, yeah, I'm excited.
That's exciting.
Okay, but getting into this here, you know, I just had a thought. Do you have an impromptu fun fact? Because this is a new episode, technically.
It is. I do have some fun facts.
Just a quick one for us.
Sure. So, impromptu fun fact time.
Go.
It's about Brandon Sanderson.
Okay, good.
Who is the author who obviously picked up and finished the series. So, Brandon Sanderson was a longtime fan of Robert Jordan, had no inclination to finish the series. That wasn't even on his radar. But after Robert Jordan passed away, he had written a eulogy for Robert Jordan.
Oh, okay.
And Harriet McDougal read it and contacted him, and she was the one who chose him to finish the series.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And just a shout out because it was just Harriet McDougal's birthday.
Yeah, exciting.
So happy birthday to her.
Yeah, happy birthday. So good choice, and I have the utmost respect for Brandon Sanderson.
Yep.
Because he walked into a difficult situation.
Yes.
To have to finish a series that is so epic and so many people looking at him to do it, and I think...
And he wrote it in his own style, right?
He did, and I think that's one of the best things that I can definitely respect is he didn't try to replicate what RJ was doing or copy. He did his own take on the book, and I think he absolutely did it justice.
Good, okay.
So that's like,
and your opinion is the only one that matters.
That's true. Until you get to that part in the series, and then also your opinion will matter.
All right. But
now... until that point, it's just my opinion that matters.
Because it's our podcast.
Exactly. But yeah, so that is an impromptu fun fact for you.
Oh, okay.
So Harriet McDougal is the one who made that happen.
Interesting.
Yeah, good choice.
I think that's interesting to note, too, because she was so involved in every book. You know, she, helped edit, right?
Yeah.
And she was obviously part of it.
A huge part. So it makes sense. And
does.
from what I know, nobody else was approached to write that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad he didn't turn it down.
Yeah. I don't think that... Yeah, that's not an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nynaeve is having the biggest inner struggle of her whole damn life.
Oh, yeah.
And she just basically says, no, I'll have nothing to do with... And then stops and thinks to herself, nothing to do with what? Myself? And so she just gives up and asks Moraine not to tell anyone about this. She's super ashamed of it.
Yeah. You can't be bashing something your entire life, turns out.
No,
and then be
part of it. Oh, yeah. Weird how that happens.
Yeah, shoot.
So Nynaeve says that this has nothing to do with what Moraine wants with the boys, and now Moraine has a simple answer for her.
Yeah.
So Nynaeve just is, I think, just trying to change the subject here.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Where she's just basically saying, okay, whatever, I can touch the power, screw you, but what about these boys?
Yeah, back to what I was originally storming in on.
Right.
Yeah.
None of your filthy Aes Sedai schemes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, Moraine has a simple answer for her.
She said this the same way quite a few times now.
Quite a few. The Dark One wants them, and if the Dark One wants a thing, I oppose it. And Moraine finishes her cup of tea and turns to Lan and says they must be going south now. But she's afraid the wisdom won't be joining them.
I love this.
I just said, nice reverse psychology.
Oh, yeah. The one way to make Nynaeve do something is say, you are not doing this.
And she didn't even say, you are not doing this. She just said, she won't be joining us. She clearly hates us.
Is that the oppositional defiant thing that happens? As soon as you tell a kid to do something, they do the exact opposite?
Yeah, I have a few opinions about ODD, but...
Okay. I know it's not exact, but yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. So.
It's very similar. If you say, hey, I'm going to give you candy, they basically say no. They're going to oppose literally everything and anything you say for the sake of being right and maintaining control and power.
Okay.
And in a way, that's very similar to what Nynaeve is doing. Every person in this book, every character...
Has a little bit of that?
Has a little bit of some mental health issue. Yeah. And if you want me to get into all of the mental health disorders...
Oh, what diagnosis would you give each?
And the diagnosis you're going to give each person?
That sounds like a bonus episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with no.
Okay.
Because everybody can take... all of their Twitter comments that they're writing and throw them in the garbage because we're not getting into that.
Yeah.
I'm not touching that with a 50-foot Trolloc catchpole.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. And then...
Yes.
Lan and Nynaeve begin to compete again.
It's funny. So, Nynaeve right away, though, says, no way, Jose. I'm going with you and you can't stop me.
Yeah.
So the reverse psychology works. So Lan just sort of says simply, no one's going to try to stop you. Like, you don't have to be so angry, Nynaeve. Yeah. And then he turns to Moraine and says, is this too part of the pattern? And I love this because this is my new favorite thing. Everything that happens is now part of the pattern.
Yeah.
Including our podcast.
Yeah.
So it's all part of the pattern.
Part of the pattern now.
And of course it is. It's all part of the pattern now. And Moraine says, perhaps. And then she says, I should have spoken to Min again. Which is interesting because we know that Min said Nynaeve is part of it.
Yeah.
She did say that.
She did say that.
Of course, Rand didn't bother to tell anyone. But it's interesting that Moraine thinks so highly of Min and what she sees.
And it also seems like Moraine walked into this situation not expecting so many people to be a part of it.
Yeah.
She expected to find at least one boy, found 3,
yeah,
found Egwene, Nynaeve jumps on board, Tom jumps in,
yeah,
right? All these people are jumping in, and she kind of seems like she's caught off guard, and she didn't ask enough questions to Min about everybody else.
Yes, especially after Nynaeve showed up,
yeah,
right?
I mean, she has such a broad focus on what's important, but she's missing the narrower view of, like, let's look at everybody in this circle.
Right,
you know?
Exactly. And then I also find it interesting that Min found it so important to pull Rand aside and say, hey, that woman who showed up is part of this.
Yeah.
But Min didn't find it important enough to go barge in on Moraine.
Yeah, maybe the opportunity didn't present itself.
Right, where she saw them walking in, so she pulled Rand aside. But she saw Nynaeve show up, and she knew that Nynaeve was part of it.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting who she chose to share that information with. But anyways, back to this. Lan said, you see, Nynaeve, you're welcome to come. Like, he wants to say Sedai after her name.
With the title?
Yeah, like Nynaeve Sedai.
Mm-hmm.
But she clearly doesn't like that.
There's almost like newfound respect that Lan has.
Yeah, you see, you're welcome to come.
I don't know if respect is the right word, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, like he holds her in like a higher regard.
Yeah.
Now, almost. Like she's not just some wisdom from some bumpkin country village.
Yeah, now there's like a power, like we know he's the last lord of the 7 towers.
Whatever the fuck that means.
I mean, but that's a title if I've ever heard one. That's a title.
Yes, absolutely.
And
okay.
Nynaeve from Emond's Field isn't exactly a strong title.
Right. But
Nynaeve Sedai could be a little bit stronger.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll take it. So at this point, he's finished saddling their horses and says that he will go and get hers. And then this is where they sort of that competition happens again. And she thinks this is going to be so funny when he comes back without the horse because she hit the horse so well.
Yeah.
And Nynaeve asks Moraine why they're going to head south. And again, questioning like all of her moves, all of her decisions, like she could make them any better.
Yeah.
Because
it's almost like just the trust factor. Like Nynaeve doesn't trust anything about Moraine, so she feels the need to question.
Yeah, and then she wants to know how Moraine knew that one of the boys crossed the river. And this is where we get confirmation of the GPS coins.
Yeah, like 100% confirmation.
100%. Now. So Nynaeve once again questions Moraine's motives and wonders why they're going to go for the boys down the river instead of going for the boy who was alive and across the river.
Yeah.
And Moraine explains here that she would go get him if time allowed, but the boys who went down the river clearly need her more.
Yeah.
And you think this is something Nynaeve could understand? Because she is someone who is like, I have to help the people I can help. With Tam, and this is like not the first time I'm bringing this up, but she knew right away she couldn't help Tam, and she said, there's nothing I can do, there are people I can help.
Yeah.
And she had that instinct, and she's having trouble with the perspective piece.
Yeah.
Where Moraine is just making this decision.
Those two boys need help because they've lost their tokens, which could mean a whole bunch of things.
Yes.
Same reason why Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli went to go after Pippin and Merry because they just got kidnapped by orcs instead of going after Frodo and Sam.
Right.
They need to help the people they can actually help.
That's a good point. And this isn't one of those times where...
You don't know what I'm
talking
talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Awesome. They're going to go hunt some orcs.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
But that's funny because that's from our bonus episode where we talked about the shadow spawn.
Oh, yeah.
And we also recorded that tonight.
Yeah.
So all of our conversations are getting mixed up. But we talked about how sometimes when you talk about Lord of the Ring references,
you have no idea what's happening.
I just nod along and say, yeah.
Like
and
a
then
liar.
Like a liar. And then change the subject so I don't seem like an idiot.
Yeah.
But this is a time I know what you're talking about.
Yes,
but I'm
good.
also excited for our next movie marathon where we're going to rewatch Lord of the Rings.
I'm all for that.
So I can know what you're talking about. Anyways, Nynaeve is questioning Moraine's motives, and Moraine basically just says that hopefully the one who's alive across the river just goes safely to Whitebridge and we'll meet him there.
Yeah.
So that's all they can do is just sit and hope. Especially now that there is confirmation that there's no Trollocs around.
Yeah.
He can go there safely.
And I mean, she knows that boy is alive. She doesn't know it's Perrin, but...
Yeah. See, I thought that maybe the GPS coin was just that. Like, if I put a GPS tracker on your jacket...
Yeah.
And then you give your jacket to someone else, and I'm, like, still tracking it...
Oh, yeah.
I thought that maybe she would still be tracking...
Just the wrong person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe once it's left their hand, it's faded from her.
Well, that seems to be what happened. Yeah.
Okay. So Nynaeve also wonders about Egwene and says, like, how are we going to find her? But turns out Moraine didn't give her a coin.
Which is interesting. Because
I also think that's interesting.
Well, but this is, again, the whole thing about Moraine looking almost too big picture, or maybe not big picture enough, of she knows that she wants to focus in on the boys and gives them a coin, but then with Egwene, she's part of the pattern, but it's not number one priority.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about Lan letting her see him. So when Egwene saw Lan getting everything ready, we had that speculation of, did Lan let Egwene see him?
Right,
Because if Lan doesn't want to be seen...
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Back in Emmons Field.
Back in Emmons Field when they were leaving.
Okay,
if Lan doesn't want to be seen, he's not going to be seen.
Yes.
Egwene's good, but...
Not that good.
Not that good. So was that just Moraine kind of like reaching to see if Egwene would follow, which he does, but not giving a coin because, again, it's not priority.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But then I thought maybe, like, when they were having those talks every night alone together, I thought maybe she would get...
Here's a coin just in case you get lost.
Just in case you get separated, and if we can find you, we will. Like, that would just be nice, but maybe she doesn't have any more. Although she had 3, and she only expected to find 1 boy. So.
Or she doesn't want to tell Egwene, or give one to Egwene then, because if Egwene gets one now, the boys might figure out that Moraine is tracking them. Right.
I don't know.
Possibly.
Whatever.
Speculation.
They just sort of have to hope that she's safe because they don't know where she is. So at this, Lan comes back with the horse, much to Nynaeve's dissatisfaction.
Shoot.
So they're going to set off south to Whitebridge, and Nynaeve thinks that if anything happened to any of her people, she can use the power on Moraine.
Yeah,
and
like
I just
revenge,
think, like, okay, no. A whole Aes Sedai duel? That'd be kind of cool, actually. But
yeah, but I mean, Moraine's like way better.
Yeah, like what
right
are you
now.
even thinking? Like Nynaeve just in her head is just so funny. I think this whole chapter was funny.
She literally says at one point that Nynaeve says she remembered her own encounter, but she refused to admit the sense of what Moraine said.
Yeah.
Like she knows that Moraine's making sense, and she's refusing to admit it.
Yeah.
To herself in her own head.
Yeah.
So
this whole chapter was funny from Nynaeve's perspective, but Nynaeve is somebody who, in this writing anyway, shows every emotion on her sleeve.
Oh, yeah. She doesn't hide anything.
I wasn't even a little bit surprised about anything she thought.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I think that's
she's
so
very
funny.
vocal about her feelings.
Yeah.
So, and
My
I think
stomach hurts.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, that's really funny. But that's actually the end of this chapter.
Yeah. So I have one really, really important question for you here.
Okay.
So we know that Maureen is being super patient with Nynaeve and explaining things to her to kind of get Nynaeve on board with the whole thing that she can, in fact, channel.
Yeah, that's one of Moiraine's traits.
She can be patient when she wants to be.
The patience.
Yeah.
It's just that when Egwene keeps saying stupid fucking things, she
loses her patience a little bit.
So fast.
So, but this is the thing. We know that Egwene's one of the strongest, or has the potential to become one of the strongest Aes Sedai that they've seen in centuries. Nynaeve has the ability to become even more powerful than that. So, how big of a referral bonus do you think Moiraine's going to get for roping in these two really strong women channelers?
Yeah, I don't know.
Legitimate question, though. Would there be like an incentive
maybe
for Moiraine to bring back these two powerful women?
It's a possibility.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You get like, maybe that's where Lan's endless money bag comes from?
No. I didn't think of that. But I also thought about when she said how powerful Nynaeve could be. I just thought it was a little bit of a callback to an earlier paragraph where she said there's been no Aes Sedai powerful enough to travel.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden we get a reference to
couple
an
Aes Sedai
even more powerful Aes Sedai. So it's just this little funny way to speak, I suppose. Like just the semantics that are used here, I find interesting. And I'm clearly someone who is looking out for things like this to discuss here and now.
Yeah.
But like if I'm somebody who's reading this,
a casual read through, you're probably not going to catch that.
I'm missing everything. Yeah. Literally everything. So hopefully I'm not just completely reading into absolutely every little thing, but
you're doing a good job. Yeah, you're doing a good job.
I'm doing a good job finding content for this podcast in any case.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that your predictions are really funny because
things to talk about.
Yeah, some of your predictions are like, really, really good, and some are less so.
Less good?
Yeah.
Like my whole Matt at the wall thing gonna turn into...
Well, we'll see. I'm not going to tell you what's good and what's bad. But
turn into what's his name? Death? More death?
More death? Yeah. Let's just say when we get for a couple more books into this, it's going to be really fun to go back. So
yeah, that's the part I'm looking forward to. Like halfway through this book, and we're not even slightly close to being close to done.
Yeah, well, consider how long I had to wait for the whole Badger thing to come around. And that's a minor point. But, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, but this chapter was interesting because when I read it, I thought, how are we going to talk for long enough about this? We have to do the next chapter, which is only like 6 pages.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that there was so much in here to draw from that now we're on to our second episode, and now we're just getting into the second chapter.
Yeah.
So,
but I think it'll work out for everyone. So
yeah, it's good. I found it interesting that a chapter that, from the outside seemed kind of dull and boring actually turned out to be so interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think this might be a pretty good time to take a break and plug another really great podcast.
Hello, I am Adam Higgins from the Odd Dad Out podcast, where normal is not my specialty. What does that mean? Well, I just can't do one thing. Every week, I give you a sampling of personal stories, rants, ramblings, or just spending a day to nerd out a bit. Plus, I make fun of some weird news stories, and I tell you about a podcast that I think you should check out because sharing is caring, right? So if any of that sounds up your alley, subscribe to Odd Dad Out at oddadoutpodcast.com.
So, Chapter 22, A Path Chosen.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting, and then it turns out to be very literal.
Very literal, yeah.
So interesting, though, about this picture.
The full moon and dead tree.
Yeah, because when I saw this picture, I typed into my notes here, the tree of life.
Oh, why?
I don't know. I looked at it, and it looked like just a big, beautiful tree. Like, it's the weirdest thing.
Really?
Because then I had to think, have I seen this before?
Yeah.
And I went back, and it's like the ominous full moon and tree, spooky tree with no leaves.
Yeah, so we got that on the Winter Night chapter.
Yep.
The Out of the Woods chapter when Rand's coming out with Tam.
Yeah, yep.
And we got it on the Road to Terran Ferry.
Yeah.
Right
I don't
after
know.
they leave.
I don't know if I'm just like in a different place with reading this.
Maybe.
And maybe it like coming out of that chapter where there was so much almost like light and hope, and
Yeah.
then I saw this picture differently.
That is interesting.
It's so weird.
All right.
It was so weird. It was so weird. Anyway, so I don't think this chapter had anything to do with a full moon. It had something to do with trees.
Yeah. This is a tough one to discern.
But this picture doesn't, now that I've read the chapter and I'm looking back, it makes more sense that it's the tree of life. So I don't know. And
Yeah.
I don't know if, I think we can just probably move past it.
Yeah. Well, this is a Perrin chapter.
Yeah.
And where we last left Perrin, he was pulling himself out of the river.
Yep.
After he'd splashed on through.
Yep.
Lost his horse. And we don't know where Egwene is.
Right. But it turns out he still has his GPS coin.
Yep.
And Moraine knows that he's at least safe for now.
Yes.
Okay, so this chapter starts with Perrin waking up under all his camouflage of tree branches, which was very smart of him.
Yeah.
Because we know that there's very little tree cover, so he sort of made his own hiding place.
Yeah, not terrible.
No. So he wakes up with a start and grabs his axe and peers around, but he's alone and there's nothing around.
Very similar reaction to what Nynaeve did.
Very similar, yeah.
Which makes sense if you wake up after you've just been attacked by monsters all night. You'd wake up and look for your weapon.
Right, but he's alone and nothing's around, so he thinks about how he would feel a lot better if he saw his friends or even Moraine or Lan on the other side of the river. And then he thinks to himself, if wishes were wings, sheep would fly.
Yeah, what
Or
a
at
weird saying.
Or at least that's what Mistress Luhan always says. And I just said, what?
Yeah, what
With
does
like
that mean?
3 question marks. I said, do sheeps have a lot of wishes?
And want to fly?
Like,
I don't know.
it's a weird one.
I got nothing on that.
It's
so
literally so weird that I needed to write it down. But okay,
I feel like
Perrin.
it's like a play on the whole if pigs could fly or something like that, you know?
Yeah, it's a play on it.
But it's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's so weird. But okay, whatever, Perrin. I just chalk it up to Perrin's brain.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I didn't have high hopes for this chapter from Perrin's perspective anyway. So at least we get this. Anyway, so his clothes are still wet from his swim last night. And he thinks about the things long gone in his saddlebags, you know, to make a fire with.
Yeah.
But he also thinks about his horse and hopes that he was able to swim out of the river okay.
Yeah, and we really have no idea.
Yeah, and I asked a question to myself. I said, Self, can horses swim?
Oh.
And so I looked to the internet for the answers, and I have a fun fact about horses for you.
Oh, okay, I'm excited for this.
So
Is it that horses can swim?
So it turns out horses can swim.
Yeah.
Because, do you want to know why?
Yeah.
The majority of their torso is their large lungs filled with air, which makes them very buoyant.
Wow, okay.
And also in their torso are their loops of intestines, which contain gas.
Yeah. So they're like super buoyant.
Yeah, so they just float naturally. And then they move their legs in the water as if they're trotting, and it propels them forward.
That's so funny. So I always knew that horses could swim. I knew that.
Yeah.
But I had no idea why, and I never questioned it.
And here's an important note, though. Horses can't hold their breath. So if their heads go under the water,
They
they're
die.
likely to drown very quickly.
Oh, okay.
The more you know.
Yeah. That's really good to know.
So weird, hey?
Yeah. That actually makes a lot of sense, though, when you like think about a horse.
Yeah, when you think about their running capacity,
Huge, yeah.
Obviously huge lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, interesting.
Right.
So,
hopefully the horse is okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, they can swim. As long as their head didn't go under the water.
Yeah.
Which...
It kind of seems like it did.
I don't know.
I don't know. He went right over there, so...
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay.
Oh, well. Okay. So here, moving on from that, I'm sure all the horses are just fine. So, level-headed Perrin here weighs out all his options before making any sort of decision about what he should do.
Or even drying his clothes.
Yeah. So...
Yeah.
I found it funny that it's like a 6-page chapter, and there's probably 2 solid pages of description of trees.
Yep.
And then Perrin deciding what to do.
Yeah. Well, we're setting a tone for Perrin and who he is as a person.
Yes, I get it. I get it, but still. So...
I have to defend Perrin a little bit here.
So his way is sort of like one thing at a time and the most important thing first. He thinks about Egwene and how she would have come out of the river further down than him because she's not as strong a swimmer as he is.
Yeah, good logic.
So he decided to set off down the river to look for Egwene. I guess he's assuming that they both ran off the cliff together.
Yeah, because he heard that splash behind him and he didn't know what it was.
And we weren't sure if that was like his horse or if it was spears or if it was like a Trolloc coming in after him.
Like, who knows?
But he thinks it's Egwene.
And either way you cut it, it's probably best you head downriver towards the next city.
Right.
So
at this point, I think that she managed to stay on the other side of the river.
Okay.
So I'm not so sure that he'll find her.
Yeah, okay.
But he does his best here to stay covered in what little trees are on his side of the river. And I just sort of picture like a kid playing Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Or like
running from
like Spy,
bush to bush.
Like here and then running and barrel roll and hiding.
Yeah.
And then sneaking army crawl on his arms.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So that's just kind of funny, especially because he's so big. Like, that's just
gigantic
a funny
dude.
thing to picture.
And like, to be fair, he doesn't actually know how safe the side of the river is, but he's still probably not doing as good of a job as he thinks he is at being sneaky.
I know. So I find this interesting here because he thinks about how Lan said the Trollocs and Fades wouldn't cross the river, but he thinks that seeing him might be enough to make them do so. And at first, I think he's just being, like, overly cautious and annoying.
Yeah.
But then I had a thought about how Lan said the Trollocs and Fades wouldn't go into Shadar Logoth, and they did, in search of these boys.
That's very true.
So, I'm actually on Perrin's safety side here.
Yeah.
Because at first, I was like, idiot, Lan told you they can't swim. But Lan also said they wouldn't enter the city, and they did.
Yes.
So...
Depends how much they want him.
I think Perrin's right about this. If they did catch sight of him, the Fades, or whoever's pushing the Fades, would force him to cross the river.
Yeah.
So, interesting. So, several miles later, Perrin spots some, like, matted down grass, and it turns out that Egwene is not so good at hiding her tracks. Or at least Bella.
Yeah, it kind of made it seem like it was a horse that, like maybe it wasn't Egwene, but maybe it was. It's hard to say.
Well, I don't think it's that hard to say because Perrin sees a hoof print in the grass and thinks about how some Trollocs have hoofs, but none of them have horseshoes made by Master Luhan.
Yeah, and he's the blacksmith, so probably he either helped or made them.
The double crossbar.
Yeah.
The signature horseshoe.
And
Clearly,
that means that Bella's alive.
At least Bella. I think,
Yeah.
Good. That means at least Bella made it across.
Yeah.
And we know her giant lungs helped her swim.
Yeah.
So.
And her intestines.
Cool.
Very cool.
So he sets out to find more tracks and his sharp eyes find them. And the trail leads him away from the river to a spot of like thick trees in which he has to sort of like move the branches aside to enter into a little clearing. and he finds Egwene
Yeah.
sitting with her back against Bella, holding a large branch like a club, and she had started a small fire for warmth.
Yeah, let's talk about how much better Egwene did than Perrin.
Yeah, she's so good.
Oh, she is awesome.
She found a way better hiding spot. She's got a fire going.
Yeah, she didn't lose her horse.
Yep.
She has like a weapon. She's ready to kick ass if she needs to.
Right, but this also might be attributed to her being able to use the power to survive.
Oh,
in a situation where she might not otherwise live.
What do you mean use the power to survive?
Well,
like have one of those
like
instances?
the unintentional
Yeah, okay.
Things where like she got across the river where she really shouldn't have.
Okay.
So like maybe that was something that helped her in this scenario.
Yeah.
Or like to help her sort of find this random
like all of a sudden
bunch of
Bella
trees.
has like flippers on her hooves. No.
Well, no.
Not that much?
Not so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think, okay, so that splash she heard clearly was Egwene.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So Egwene is actually really happy to see him, and she throws the club aside and gives him a big hug, and then she gives him some bread and cheese from her saddlebag, which was so well wrapped up in some like oiled paper and it's still dry.
Yeah, she took care of her stuff.
And Perrin thinks about how he'd been so worried about her, and here she is doing better than he did.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we know officially that everyone is alive.
Yes.
And I think, phew.
And
Okay.
nobody else knows where anybody is, though, really.
No, that's the issue.
Yeah.
So Egwene said that Bella basically saved her and pulled her across.
Because horses are great at swimming.
So I did more horse research.
Okay.
And turns out, yes, horses can swim with a rider on their back.
Oh.
They are that buoyant, in case you are wondering.
Very cool. I
Yeah.
feel like someday that might come in handy.
Yeah, for you personally,
You never know.
the person who's never even ridden a horse before.
But that one time I do and we fall into a river.
Okay, well, it worked for Egwene.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't it work for you?
Yeah, it should.
Okay.
I can imagine Egwene, like, maybe not riding on Bella's saddle still, but, like, just being pulled behind and her, like, holding on.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But the internet did say
But that it can happen.
that it can support a rider.
Yeah.
And still float.
Yeah.
But then you're totally fucked if the horse's head gets under the water.
Oh, yeah, completely. So,
Yikes. So Egwene is worried that she hasn't seen anyone else, and Perrin sort of eyes the package of food that she's wrapping up, and I think, like, he's a big guy, and he's still hungry. Perrin tries to say something positive here, but he says that he hasn't seen any Trollocs or Fades either. So that's nice, I guess.
yeah, just them.
Yeah. But Egwene says that Rand has to be alright. But then she quickly adds, oh, they all do.
They still have that connection.
And I think, like, nice save.
Yeah.
She says basically that she thinks the Aes Sedai is gonna find them and they'll all be safe.
Yeah, but, like, also what happens if that doesn't happen, so.
Yeah, she did say she'd be able to find them.
Yeah.
But Perrin makes a comment about not liking Aes Sedai, and Egwene is so quick to defend, saying that he didn't mind when she saved them from the Trollocs.
And she's not wrong.
Yeah. But then, much to Egwene's surprise, Perrin says, I've been thinking.
And she's, like, super surprised. So it's kind of funny that in Perrin's mind, he knows that people think he's, like, slow-witted. Yeah. And he's not wrong about that. Like,
No.
people clearly think he's kind of dumb.
He has an accurate perception of how he comes across
Yeah.
to others, which is interesting because a lot of people in this book, a lot of
no
characters
idea.
have no clue how they're coming across to others.
Yeah.
Or they know but don't care.
Yeah.
So, that's funny.
Yeah.
So in this case, I think Perrin has a right to be self-conscious because he's right about how people are feeling about him. But he thinks here that they can either just sit here and wait for Moraine to find them, or Trollocs might find them first, and he thinks that they should keep moving. So this whole conversation, Egwene keeps sort of cutting Perrin off, like she knows what he's going to say and tries to, like, finish his thoughts, and it's kind of annoying. But Perrin is a little surprised when Egwene starts listening to him and expecting that he take the lead.
Yeah, because, I mean, she's pretty independent.
She's a bully,
yeah.
apparently.
Well, a little bit, but she likes to do her own thing.
Yeah, but Perrin says they should go to Whitebridge, But that's where the Trollocs will be expecting them to go. So, he thinks they should set out for Camelin and wait for the others to catch up to them there.
So, do you think this is a good plan or a bad plan?
At first, I think this is a good plan.
Okay.
And then I think to myself, how far are they from Camelin?
Well, that's kind of the thing, because if you look at the map, too, he's going off his memory of maps that his dad has.
Yeah.
Or like, what was Master Luhan, I think, says?
Yeah, well, and he knows that they were going to Camelin, on the Camelin Road.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they were traveling on the Camelin Road on the way to Camelin, then where we are can't be that far off.
Yeah.
He, like points on his hand or on the ground or something where it should be. And it almost seems, in his mind, that it's, like, faster to just, like, cut across.
Yeah, and
Camelin.
if not faster, safer, because what happens if they get to White Bridge and there's already Trollocs and Fades waiting for them, so, like, skip the first point and head to the second point.
Yeah.
And then if the second point doesn't work out, then they'll head straight to Tar Valon.
Yeah.
But also, you're going off the memory of a map that may or may not be accurate, and he recognizes that that map may or may not be completely
yes,
accurate.
but I think that Perrin doesn't make decisions lightly, and the fact that he's come to this conclusion as the safest, like, I'm going to go with it and I'm going to trust him.
Okay.
Because I agree. And we already have confirmation that the Fades are going south. So if they cut straight east, then maybe that is a good, safer choice. It might be a harder choice because it's
Like through the wilderness.
It's through the wilderness. We know that for sure.
And they might find towns is what their plan is, but
yeah,
who knows what actually is going to happen.
But Perrin here actually expects Egwene to tell him that she doesn't like the plan. And he thinks that she's going to just, like, come up with a new one because she's always bullying him into something. And then I said, come on, Egwene. Like, that's rude. But she thinks that actually this is a good idea. And she says that there will probably be villages along the way so they can ask for direction. So they decide that if the others don't find them in Camelin after a few days, they will just head to Tar Valon themselves.
Yeah, and then make a case to the Amerlin seat.
Yeah, that's intense. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, very intense, but I like where Perrin and Egwene's heads are at.
It's a good idea in its premise.
Like, they know what's up. They know that Moraine wants them both in Tar Valon, and they think even if we don't have her to get us there, that's where we should go.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether or not she's with us.
Yeah.
Which,
the destination is still important.
Yeah, and we just heard from Moraine that it's actually probably not that safe for
turns
Perrin
out, yeah.
to head into Tar Valon and just walk up to the White Tower and the Amerlin seat and just say, the Dark One wants me, help. Because that just might mean his death.
Maybe.
So, like, if it's, like, the one solution or whatever.
Yeah.
That we don't actually...
Like if he runs into the wrong Aes Sedai or something like that.
Yeah.
Or one of the more extreme ones. Or
yeah,
whatever that
then
means.
he doesn't actually know. So they're just assuming that all Aes Sedai are just like Moraine.
Yeah.
And have the same thoughts. But we have confirmation from Moraine that Aes Sedai are just people.
Yeah.
With all their own thoughts and all their own opinions and...
all their own schemes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Filthy
Aes Sedai schemes.
Yes. Right. But it's kind of funny here. So they make this decision and then he sort of like jokingly, but like not jokingly, wants more food.
Oh yeah, he for sure does.
And Egwene says no. Because apparently there's a limit to how much leadership she'll take.
We're going to have to ration this.
Yeah.
Well, she packed her stuff properly. Perrin lost all of his, turns out.
Yeah,
or
well,
like most,
it was in, like, with his horse.
Yeah.
And he lost his horse, so.
Yeah.
But Perrin decides that they should get going now. And if he's going to be the leader, then it's time for him to start leading. And he will walk himself dry. And then he kicks out the fire.
Yep.
And they're going to be on their way.
Yeah, they're going.
And
then nothing bad happened, and they made it to Tar Valon.
no, they made it to Camelin. They made it to Camelin. Everyone meets up with them. Whatever. I'm okay with this plan.
Okay.
Because he still has his coin.
He does.
That's
and
the
Moraine can still
only
find
reason I'm okay with this happening.
And he has his axe.
Well, he doesn't really know how to use it.
He's a big guy, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, and leading into the next chapter.
And I was going to say, how far does the coin work?
Oh, like what's the distance?
Is there like a radius?
Yeah, we don't know.
That it'll work for? Will he like also start to fade away if he heads too far away from where
Maybe not
Perrin
like
is?
a broken bond like with Rand and Matt's coins.
But like weaker?
But weaker. It's possible.
And she just knows that he's like somewhere east. So, yeah, I don't know. But it's all very interesting. I'm really hoping to hear from Rand and Matt and Tom, because I think that those are the most interesting people to hear from.
They
so
are pretty
far.
fun, and we have some stuff to look for with those boys.
Yeah, for sure. And then what happens where now we have Moraine and Lan and Nynaeve, which is like a really funny combination of people traveling together. It's all interesting. But the next chapter is actually called
Wolf Brother.
And I have some insight. I don't know, was it Min's vision with Perrin when she saw a wolf?
Yeah, it was.
So I assume we're still with Perrin
yeah.
and therefore Egwene.
Kind of makes sense.
For the next chapter, unless there's a mid-chapter
switch again.
But I doubt it.
Okay.
With it being called Wolf Brother.
Seems pretty
I think
singular.
that maybe we're going to find out about the wolf thing. And I'm looking forward to reading this chapter as soon as possible, because next episode, we are going to have a guest.
Yes, we're going to have a guest, and this time it's my friend.
Your friend, who is as big a Wheel of Time fan as you.
Ooh.
More so?
Okay, I'm going to say that I'm a bigger Wheel of Time fan than him.
Only because this is your podcast.
No, we might have to have a conversation with him about this.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm a bigger Wheel of Time fan.
Right.
He's a bigger overall fantasy fan. Like, he has a bigger range of books that he's read.
Yep.
Where I've read a narrower amount of fantasy books.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's got me into a few fantasy novels too. So, but yeah, I think specifically Wheel of Time, I would say I'm a bigger fan.
Okay.
He's a huge fan though, so like, don't get me wrong.
Yes, and he's a pretty big fan of ours, which is fun.
Yeah, at least he says he is.
Yeah. So we're going to have Tyler on next episode. And this has been planned for a while.
Has been. It took...
So I know there is something interesting that must happen.
Because we specifically set it up for this chapter.
And the last time we had a guest was with Spencer.
Yep.
And that was for Winter Night.
Yeah.
It was so exciting at the time.
Yeah.
So this must also be be So
he specifically asked to be in on this chapter.
This one specifically. Yeah. I wonder if he's a Perrin.
I think he does he identifies with the facial hair.
Oh yeah, maybe
and
he's got a beard. Is that what you mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, Tyler has like hair.
You're the one with curly hair, so.
Well, yeah, it used to be a lot more curly.
Yeah.
Now it's
shorter, but
shorter and gray. Curly. So.
Oh, it's not even that gray. Enough with your age. Throwing your back out, you just
threw my back out with my gray hair, so we're good.
Yeah, old. Coming up on your 30th this year.
Goodness.
Oh well. Okay, so I think that's a good place to leave it, because I'm excited to go into chapter 23.
Yeah.
And would you say that this is part of the pattern now?
Perhaps.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Wheel Weaves. If you'd like bonus content, exclusive insider looks, some really cool merchandise, and to support us making really great content, you can head over to patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. Please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe. It would really mean a lot to us and does actually make a really big difference. Tell your friends or anyone who might like us or anyone who's thinking of getting into the series who might want to follow along with us. You can find us on social media. There's more information on there and some fun pictures and tidbits on Instagram at The Wheel Weaves Podcast or on Twitter at The Wheel Weaves Podcast. Thanks, as always, to audionautics.com for the music, and thanks to you, awesome listeners.